You ate something an hour ago. Right now, deep inside your muscle tissue, a tiny molecular switch is either flipping on or sitting completely dead. And whether it flips depends almost entirely on what you just ate. Not how much you ate, not how hard you trained. What you ate, and most people have no idea this switch even exists. That is what this video is about. Let's go back about 3 hours. Imagine a guy named Marcus. He is 34, works a desk job, goes to the gym 4 times a week, eats what he thinks is a healthy diet. He had a big bowl of oatmeal this morning, a salad at lunch with some chickpeas, and a small protein bar around 2 in the afternoon. He feels like he is doing everything right. He is not doing everything right, not because those foods are bad, but because of what is happening inside his cells every single time he eats, or more precisely, what is not happening. To understand Marcus, you need to understand what protein actually is at the smallest level. Protein is not just a nutrient, it is a delivery vehicle. When you eat something that contains protein, whether that is chicken, eggs, lentils, whey, or anything else, your stomach and small intestine break it apart into individual pieces called amino acids. Think of a pearl necklace. The full necklace is the protein. The individual pearls are the amino acids. Your gut snips the string, and those pearls flood into your bloodstream. Your blood carries them everywhere. To your liver, your skin, your organs, and yes, your muscles. Now here is where it gets genuinely strange. Your cells are not passively waiting for these amino acids to arrive like groceries sitting on a doorstep. They are actively sensing them. There are receptors on and inside your cells that are constantly monitoring the concentration of amino acids in the blood. These receptors are part of a larger system, a surveillance network, basically. And when amino acid levels rise high enough, fast enough, something remarkable happens. A protein complex called mTOR activates. The name stands for Mechanistic Target of Rapamycin, which sounds like something you would name a villain, but what it actually does is closer to the opposite. mTOR is your body's master growth signal. When it turns on, it tells your cells to start building. Start making new proteins, repair damaged fibers, grow, adapt. The reason this matters is because mTOR does not respond to a slow trickle of amino acids. It responds to a spike, a sharp, fast rise in amino acid concentration, particularly one amino acid called leucine. Leucine is the trigger. It is the one that mTOR is most sensitive to. And if your protein source does not deliver leucine quickly and in large enough quantities, mTOR barely budges. The light flickers. It does not fully turn on. This is exactly what was happening to Marcus. His oatmeal had almost no leucine. His chickpea salad had some, but chickpeas digest slowly, and the leucine release was so gradual that his mTOR system barely registered it. His protein bar had a modest amount, but it was blended with so much sugar and fat that digestion slowed down again. So across an entire day of eating, Marcus triggered almost no real mTOR activation. His body was running in what you might call maintenance mode, just enough signal to not fall apart, but not enough to actually build anything new, and he had been doing this for 2 years. Now let's flip this around, because here is where the story gets more interesting. Imagine the same Marcus, same gym schedule, same total calories, but now he swaps his lunch for something different. He eats a meal with around 30 to 40 grams of a fast-digesting, leucine-rich protein, eggs, chicken breast, Greek yogurt, or a high-quality whey shake, something that hits his bloodstream with a clean, sharp spike of amino acids. What happens next is almost cinematic. Within about 30 to 60 minutes of eating, leucine levels in his blood climb sharply. His cells detect this. The mTOR complex assembles. It phosphorylates, which just means it activates a chain of other proteins, like a set of falling dominoes. Those downstream proteins tell ribosomes, the tiny machines inside every cell that build proteins, to start working. Damaged muscle fibers begin to be repaired. New structural proteins are laid down. The cell is, for a window of roughly 2 to 3 hours, in full construction mode, and then it winds down. The amino acids get used up or cleared. mTOR deactivates. The window closes. Here's the part that most people find surprising. You cannot keep mTOR on all day by eating protein constantly. In fact, your cells become resistant to the signal if it never goes away, similar to how you stop hearing background noise after a while. The most effective pattern is a clear spike followed by a clear drop, a real off period. That contrast is part of what makes the signal readable. Your cells need the quiet to reset so they can respond sharply the next time. This is why meal timing and protein distribution across the day actually matter, not as some advanced athlete strategy, but as basic cell biology. Spreading 40 grams of protein across 6 tiny snacks throughout the day produces a weaker mTOR response than eating that same 40 grams in one clean meal. The spike is the message. Dilute the spike, dilute the message. Now here is the climax, the part that reframes everything. Because mTOR is not just about muscle, it governs cellular growth across your entire body, skin repair, organ maintenance, immune cell production, even certain aspects of brain function. And here's the twist that nobody talks about. mTOR is also linked to aging, not in a simple way, but in a fascinating and slightly uncomfortable one. Chronically high mTOR activity, the kind you get from constantly eating high protein all day every day with no breaks, is associated in research with accelerated cellular aging and increased risk of certain diseases. Your cells stay in build mode so long they forget to do the other critical job, which is cleanup. There is a process called autophagy, which literally means self-eating, and it is how your cells break down their own damaged components and recycle them. Think of it as the cellular version of taking out the trash. Autophagy happens primarily when mTOR is off, when leucine levels drop, when there is a gap. So the same signal that drives growth, when it never turns off, prevents the very maintenance that keeps your cells healthy long-term. The ideal pattern starts to look less like constant fueling and more like rhythmic signaling. Strong spikes from high-quality protein, real gaps between meals to let mTOR wind down, and autophagy do its work, and enough total protein across the day to cover your needs without flooding the system permanently. What Marcus needed was not more protein. He needed better protein at the right moments, with actual breaks in between. So, what does this mean for you? First, prioritize leucine-rich protein sources at your main meals. Animal proteins tend to have the highest leucine content and digest quickly enough to produce a real spike. If you eat mostly plant-based, combining sources and sometimes supplementing with leucine or a complete protein powder can help close the gap. Second, aim to get a meaningful dose of protein in each main meal rather than grazing. 30 grams at one meal is more effective than 10 grams across 3 snacks. Third, and this one surprises people, the breaks matter as much as the spikes. Letting 4 to 6 hours pass between protein meals is not falling behind. It is part of the biological rhythm your cells are designed for. Your body is not a passive container you fill up. It is an active sensing system that reads signals, responds to contrasts, and runs on rhythms you can either work with or accidentally work against. Marcus figured this out eventually. He stopped grazing, started building his meals around clean protein sources, and kept his eating window tight enough that his cells got real quiet time between spikes. He did not transform overnight. Biology is patient and honestly a little indifferent to your schedule. But over months, the signal got cleaner, the response got stronger, and the results followed. That switch flips for everyone. The only question is whether you are giving it the right reason to.